All right, we live on YouTube. We live on YouTube. Let's get live on Instagram. All right, we live on Instagram too. Right, we live on both. Come on in, family. Come on in. Peace to my sister Janae. Come on in, family. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger and exalted Christ. And I further bear witness that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the extension of the Son of Man. I would like to greet every brother and sister with the greeting words of peace, which we say in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings, family. This is your brother, Knowledge 5845 on the gram, author determined to change, student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan by the way of the eternal leader, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I can never thank Allah enough for appearing in the person of Master Father Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I pray to Allah God for every brother and sister and your families and your foundation. Brothers and sisters, before we get started this morning on things that I want to talk about, just, sharing my my love, sharing my determination, sharing my the little knowledge of what God is allowing me to share with my brothers and sisters. I want us all to be able to just be reminded to continue to just give God the praise, no matter what condition we find ourselves in. You're still living, you're still breathing. So, one of my favorite sayings that I love to say is, as long as you're breathing, you have action. All it takes is one idea. All it takes is one blessing to put you in a situation to where you are pleased with the situation or the position that you are put in, but only the reality of God has the last say so to be able to do that. And no matter, like I said, no matter what's going on in our life at this particular time, we're always finding ourselves in situations where we have to solve the problem. And sometimes it can bring about stress. It can bring about confusion. It can bring about conflict. It can bring about so many things into our lives that we are uncomfortable with. Sometimes it's with self. Most of the time it's with self. And sometimes it's with loved ones. It's with friends and families, even brotherhood, even sisterhood, even whatever the situation is, right? It's always something that is challenging our character, challenging our attitudes, and challenging to see where we have what it takes to be able to get the job done and to be able to manifest, right, what we say we believe. What we say is a reality, right? Okay, so with that being said, I thank every brother and sister. If you know anybody that want to join the live, tell them to come on in, man. Tell them to come join the live, because here on this platform, on my Determined to Change platform, I'm never trying to separate myself from my brothers and sisters. And what I mean by that is, when I say I'm never trying to separate myself, walaikum salam to my sister Faith Austin on my YouTube channel. I do have my YouTube channel going as well. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, brothers and sisters, it is Winford X. That is my YouTube. Go to my YouTube and subscribe to Winford X. So I'm going live right now on Instagram, and I'm live on YouTube as well. So back to what I was saying, right? Anytime I go live and I'm on my platform, I never try to separate myself from my brothers and sisters. And what I mean by that is, it's we have to discuss real life situations that we go through every single day. See, once we get on social media, a lot of times for us, it's an outlet. But I'm not talking about an outlet to get up here and teach the people and share with the people the reality of what goes on in everyday life. I'm saying it in the sense of a lot of people get up here on social media and become something that they're really not. This is an escape to be whoever you would like to be, at that particular time. But what that does is, honestly, that hurts us. That hurts our character. That hurts our growth. It hurts our period to be able to get closer to Allah, because this can become a distraction. It can become a distraction to the point to where we've spent 5 or 6 hours just scanning other people, seeing what this person is doing, seeing what everybody else is doing, opposed to seeing what we could do to make ourselves better, or what we could do to help someone else in a righteous, in a perfected way. You hear me tell you all the time, family, that, man, listen, we got enough foolishness that's on social media. So why entertain that? Why be a part of the foolishness when we can choose? Man, I feel, man, I know I need assistance. I need help from God. But how is that help going to come? That help is going to come through other human beings. So that means that I can see errors in my life that needs to be corrected. So I have to go out and be able to be in the right fold of a group of people, in the right company, to make sure that I'm able to reflect of what I'm listening to or what I'm seeing that's around me is able to come back to me to where I'm determined to self-improve while I have the time to do so. So family, this morning I was, after I made Salat, after I got up and made Salat, I started reading, right? I started reading, and I was coming out of one of my favorite books. And as I was studying and I was reading, it automatically put on my heart, go live and talk to the people. I don't go live every day. I don't go live every day. I like to go live when I'm inspired. I like to allow that intelligence in me to give me some type of verification. And say, man, you know what? If it's one person on the live, go and share this with this person. Because what I do is, when I study and striving to become a motivational speaker, striving to be a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, striving to be determined to change, striving to have that platform of seriousness, of knowing it's a high respect here. When you see me come on, my presence is of respect for every individual person, despite whatever your denomination or your title may be. I'm striving to understand that having a universal response or a universal presentation that would be able to go out in front of me is where we will be able to receive our people correctly, and our people will be able to get a great understanding of the reality of God. That's my purpose. That's my aim. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, our first job is to resurrect. That is the first job, is to resurrect. But life takes a toll. What I mean by when I say that life takes a toll, we have so many other things that we have to do that we are responsible for. having a job, making sure that cash flow is always in play. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way. I just want to keep it real with you, and I want to talk about real life conditions that we see every single day. I'm talking about when the social media is off, when you get off the social media, when you look right back at the reality of what you're going through at that particular time. That's what I'm talking about. So we need some assistance. So we need some help. We need some spiritual guidance to be able to answer some of the problems that we cannot answer because we are not spiritually equipped to be able to answer them. So we need a teacher. And how can we have a teacher unless the teacher is sent to us? But more than the teacher being sent to us is every individual has to give themselves an opportunity. We have to give ourselves an opportunity to be able to listen long enough to comprehend, to change the condition. But if we are in a state of haste, like the Quran speaks about, says man is always in haste. Man is created in haste, right? So we're always, if we're not getting a sign when we want the sign to make the change, we become impatient. We become impatient and we abort the mission. I've done that, man. I've done that. I've prayed for something and you don't get it in time, on your time, you abort the mission. Man, I can't wait. And we put things in our own hand, and then here we go again. We find ourselves right back at the same situation, dealing with the same problem. So what I wanted to do is, as I was reading this morning, I thought about the social media family. I thought about my brothers and sisters. And I said, I want to go live and I want to share this part of what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was breaking down in his own personal life. So today's live, the title is, let me see, did I do my title? The Wise Man Pushing Through the Darkness. The Wise Man Pushing Through the Darkness. The wise man pushing through the darkness. My title on my YouTube is The Wise Man Giving Wisdom on Pushing Through the Darkness. So all of us, we need wisdom on how to continue to push through the darkness. Because we can't say that, oh, my life is not in darkness. Come on. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one whose life is in darkness. So we want to be able to get more information. We want to be able to get more experience, more intel, more supreme wisdom on how can I deal and push through the darkness. How can I? It's nothing wrong with asking a question. It's nothing wrong with seeking peace, seeking a solution to the problems in your own personal life. This is why I connect with my brothers and sisters on the social media, on my Determined to Change platform, on my Determined to Change YouTube platform. I want us to be able to come to a spot to where we're going to do some critically thinking and say, man, look, we have our platforms with our brothers with economics, Jay Taylor Jacobs. I highly recommend PBS, Private Bank System. I highly recommend you go there. It's all kind of different departments and areas that we can be assisted with. Our brother Ben X, who everyone knows, digital real estate. The brother is a master at it. It takes time for us to understand these other avenues of application that we have to have, but we have to expand our reality. That means that we have to put more work in on top of being in the darkness. Man, listen. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me right now in your life it's somebody that you beefing with. You ain't got to tell me that. That's life. You don't have to tell me that you have a child that you are concerned about if they on the right path or not. You don't have to tell me that. That's life. You don't have to tell me that, man, I'm so tired of being in this condition. I'm so tired of being in this situation. When is it going to change? You don't have to tell me that. That's life. But what I would love to do, being a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I want to be a student and I want to share words of wisdom that I was feeding on this morning. I'm not afraid. I'm not embarrassed to say, yeah, man, I need to go listen and I need to go sit my butt down. Obviously, I don't have the answers. So it comes a time where we have to get conscious enough to say, I have to go seek counseling. I have to go seek a mentor. I have to go and seek these things and strive to slowly but surely apply these things to my own personal life. And this is why I'm here, to share words of wisdom, and not only share the words of wisdom, but even this may be your first time being introduced to some words of wisdom by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And when I read this and I break this down and I start explaining this, you may say, oh my goodness, that's what I've been missing. That's been the void in my life. You know how many of us have done that? A lot of us have come into the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, just like that. We hear someone say something, or a situation happens, and it turns us towards hearing something, and now we have questions. Wait a minute, I quite don't understand it, but it's interesting. See, God, he awakens all of us in different ways. So let's hear some of the words of the wise man giving us wisdom on pushing through the darkness. Don't come on the live and be like, okay, and jump back off the live, because let me tell you something. This right here applies to all of us. Somewhere in your life right now, you in darkness. And by Allah's grace, as a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I'm going to do my best to help spark something that you may hear, that you may be able to write down, that you may be able to record in your phone, to go back later and go back into what was said here, what was discussed here, to reflect on your own personal life to make it better. That is the goal. So let's get into it. I'm coming out of Closing the Gap. I know a lot of us know about Closing the Gap, one of my favorite books, because these are real life situations. These are real life examples that was in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's life. We're talking about a man of a man of, what am I trying to say here? A man of great stature. A man of great stature that we can look at his life and say, that's what I do it for. So let's get into it. Brother Jabril, this is Closing the Gap. Brother Jabril, he's asking the minister a question. He says, brother minister, you have been ill for the last few years. The minister had got sick. The minister was ill. They tried to kill the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm talking about the government of the United States of America and other secret entities was in cahoots and trying to kill the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan through radiated seeds. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was ill for a few years, fighting this, but Allah allowed him to go through this. But it's no different from the things that you go through in your life. It's just that yours is not on display. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is on display by God's choice. But we want to listen to the things that he did and how he used his mind to bring about a healing physically, spiritually, and mentally. And how him being the example, the energy was able to travel to other human beings, brothers and sisters, to heal their sicknesses and illnesses in their lives. Who can do that but God? Boy, that understanding, a spiritual understanding it brings about peace. No matter what is going on in your life at the particular time. So let's continue to get into it. Brother minister, you have been ill for the last few years. What are just some of the immediate lessons you would like to share with others about going through such an experience? Now, as we continue to listen, I want you to put yourself in the situation. When the minister is speaking, I want you to be able to listen to how he's maneuvering himself, but I want you to see yourself. I want you to start seeing yourself as he's describing and he's explaining the lessons. Apply this to your own life. What are just some of the immediate lessons you would like to share with others about going through such an experience? What comes immediately to your mind about how to help them get through such an experience as illness? Illness can be a lot of things. Illness can be spiritual illness, physical illness, mental illness. You beefing with your family, that's an illness. You not believing in yourself, that's an illness. In and out of the penitentiary, that's an illness. Into it with our children, there's a bridge between our children, that's an illness. Not being able to communicate properly is an illness. So all of us can look at somewhere in our life and say, I have an illness. I have an illness. And the first thing is to be able to accept, yes, you don't have to go to nobody telling them this. All you have to do is turn towards Allah, look in the mirror and say, I have an illness. I'm ready to start the journey of correcting myself. Yes, you're going to have people that come along on the way that see you correcting yourself. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to do everything that they possibly can to get you off of the path of correcting yourself. When they say misery loves company, oh, come on. Sometimes we've been on the side of misery where we're trying to bring others into our misery. Come on. We've done it. We've been on both sides of misery. But the great thing about it is when we are conscious of being on both sides, we have the intelligence to choose. Do I correct it? Or do I continue to self-destruct in it and ultimately destroy myself? That's called the valley of decision. We're always in the valley of decision with every decision that we make. So let's listen. What comes immediately to your mind about how to help get them through such an experience as illness? Listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan answer. Shut alive, brothers and sisters. Let other people come on. Let them see, man, bring other people. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam to my brother Kevin Taylor, Ronald X Goes Barrow. Walaikum salam. Come on in, man. Bring other people to the live. This is a time of reflection. This is something that we're reflecting on ourselves, and I just want to be a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the Nation of Islam. This is logic. This is even when it's not logic, when we don't understand, we'll still be able to feel the sincerity. We can feel the love. We can feel the concern about self-improvement, self-correction, self-analysis, self-reformation. We want to be able to have fun with this. We want to be able to see shortcomings in our life and say, yes, not, oh, but we want to be able to look at it and say, yeah, let me go ahead and face it and let me start working towards God to remove this from my life. But I'm knowing the only way that I'm able to do that is I have to build a relationship with the God. You can't go through mama. You can't go through daddy. You can't go through grandmama. You can't go through your children. You can't go through your job, your best friend, your husband, your wife. You can't go through. There's no need for a third party to establish the corrections of things that we know. I need help. I need assistance. I need to correct this in my life. So we're talking about the wise man giving wisdom on pushing through the darkness. What comes immediately to your mind about how to help them get through such experiences and illnesses? Allah says, this is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking. Allah says in the Holy Quran, He created man and woman to face difficulty. In another place, it says, Allah has ordained struggle. I've never read it in the Quran, but it's there in other words that Allah has ordained pain as the mother of new realities. All of us have felt pain. Right now, we are going through something that we're having to endure the pain. Pain can make us frustrated sometimes. Because what happens is, oh, brothers, listen, brother, student, minister Ishmael, we had a believers meeting last night. And oh, he was on fire. Everything that he was saying was going directly back to the human being. That's the reality of God. If you're hearing something about self-improving, you're hearing something about correcting something in your life, what is closer? How can you get more closer than that, than to the reality of God? God says in the Holy Quran, I'm closer to you than your own jugular vein or your own life vein. What is that saying? Don't let mama or daddy or grandmama tell you, oh, you reading that wrong. No. If Allah says, I'm closer to you than your own life vein, what is that saying? That the two are one and the same. The reality of God is all in me. I can't escape it. I can't get around it. How can I not be a part of the reality of God? If he's closer to me than my own jugular vein, my own life vein, if he's closer, that means that one is the same as the other. So when you hear in the scriptures where it says, yea, are all gods of the most high God, don't look at your condition, because you in the darkness and you say, how can I be a God? When you look at your condition, you saying, but I don't have nothing to show for it. That doesn't mean that it's over. That does not mean that it's over. That means that we have to become more conscious of that reality that's inside of us, and we have to start paying more attention to that voice, to that subconscious. That is the intelligence of God in the human being. We just need to clean it up. We just need someone to show us how to structure it correctly. That's what we need. So let's keep going. We cannot go through life without difficulty. This is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking. We cannot go through life without struggle. God has ordained this because these are the circumstances of life that manifest the quality of our character, of our heart, the core of our being. If the heart is diseased, the person is indeed ill. None of us, this doesn't exclude none of us. If the first person you thought about was somebody else outside of yourself, man, shame. We should stop doing that. The first person we shouldn't look for is somebody else's faults. Oh, yeah, they did this and they did that. But what did you do? God is trying to get you to see, no, not them, you. They have a God in them. Your God doesn't unfold when their God unfold. Let their God talk to them. But you need your God to talk to you and deal with you. If you're really truthful about seeking peace, becoming a better person. We only get one life, man. One. This is not PlayStation. This is not Xbox. Let me put a code in. Let me put a cheat code in, and I'm about to get 100 men. Oh man, look, I got 100 men. No, man, this ain't that. This ain't that. We have to navigate through this life that we have. So when it comes back to improving ourselves, that's how we know that this is from God. Despite whatever the title is, if we rise above the title and it's something that I can receive that is actually good for me, I'm not saying something that make you feel good, but actually divinely good for me. That's how we know that it's from God. God is universal. I don't have to accept truth. If you have a different title than mine, I don't have a problem accepting that truth because your title is different from mine. God is going to equip you with the intelligence of a light to be able to understand even when you're in darkness. So let's keep going. The minister said that we cannot go through life without difficulty. So that's the first thing that we have to understand. The first thing we have to understand is that God himself struggled for eons of time. If we can think about God struggling, see, a lot of us don't even think about God struggling because the way we've been taught and the way we've been programmed what God is. We don't never think about God had a struggle. We don't even put those two words together, God and struggle. We've been taught God is so far-fetched at something that we can't even reach. But all of us can align with the word struggle. But it's hard for us to connect God and struggle because we wasn't programmed to understand that. So if you can't imagine or if you can't dissect God in a struggle and you see yourself every day in a struggle, how will you ever be able to get out of the struggle if you can't see the reality of God in the struggle? We read about the Jesus in the scriptures. We seen he struggled. Or unless we must have skipped that part. We must have skipped that. We must have skipped over Jesus being tempted. Jesus lean. We must have skipped that part. You know why? Because we don't understand the scriptures. We read about Jesus and we automatically take our minds back 2,000 years. How can we be held accountable for things that happened 2,000 and 3,000 years ago? Who's going to hold us accountable? In our face, who's physically can we see that can hold me accountable for things that happened 2,000 and 3,000 years ago? That's why we don't know how to bring it to life. We see it and say, okay, that happened 2,000 years ago. Your energy is not going to be up for that to be able to see yourself. Because we all been taught, or we thinking that Jesus already did the heavy lifting. He's done this, so we're forgiven for our sins. We just gonna put that on Jesus like that and say, oh, well, he died for my sin. So that give us a reason to just continue to just cut up. No. Because when you continue to cut up, you start seeing the things in your life of making poor decisions. We've all been there. We all can bear witness that I made the wrong decision. And then when we make the wrong decision, we can also look at ourselves and say, man, was I in the right state of mind? Or was I really making salats? Was I really studying as I should? Or was I really on top of, was I putting out the best energy that I could put out, putting my best foot forward? Was I really doing those things? Or was I just going and was I just moving as the wind blows? None of us have to answer that. I don't want you to answer that on the line. That's an answer that you just have in yourself. Like, This is the reality of God. I don't care what your title is. It doesn't matter what your title is. When a misfortune befalls the believer, the Holy Quran says, Allah is my patron. Allah, and to him is my eventual return. This is what I want us to hear. Because look, I want y'all to look at how this science is broke down. When we reading the Holy Quran, and it says that Allah is my patron, meaning that Allah is my friend. Allah is my protector, the one who I have to depend on, right? Allah is my patron, and to him is my eventual return. What does that eventual return means? I want y'all to stay with me. Please listen to this. When we say that Allah is my friend and to him is my eventual return, it's not just talking. Listen. It's not talking about my eventual return is to Allah when I'm physically dead. When I die and I go to the grave, I'm returning back to Allah. No, that's not what this is talking about. Sorry, this is not what this is talking about. Your eventual return to Allah is listening to the words and wisdom of the wise man. What he says, Allah is my patron and to him is my eventual return. What beautiful words. He's my patron. He's my backer. He's my support. He's my friend. Well, if my eventual return is to him, this is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that is speaking, and he's saying, if my eventual return is to Allah, to God. I want you to hear this part, because we're talking about a wise man showing us how to push through the darkness. He's giving us wisdom to push through the darkness. So a lot of times when we in the darkness, we feel that we've been abandoned by God. We get foolish like this and say, oh God, you don't care about me, this and that. I'm out here every time I turn around, I'm going through something. We've all felt that way. We've all felt that before. Well, if my eventual return is to him, what are the events that come up in my life that bring me back to the point of return? See, when you go through something and it's detrimental and It's knocked you off your path. The reality that we were made in or created in, not made, but created. We were made in a reality of deceptive intelligence. But we were created in truth. So at some point, if we're created in truth, but we were made in deceptive intelligence, then that means that the creation over the made is going to trump at some point in your life, meaning that God is going to have mercy on us to take us back to a reality that we're going to be put in a situation to where we're going to say, God, I need your help. I don't know what to do. That is your return back eventually to Allah. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, put a fire emoji in the comment section. If that makes sense, anybody, do I have a witness? Anybody, does that make sense? Put a fire in the comment section. Let's continue to go on. Look at what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say. He says, if I am ugly over an event in my life that suggests return, then I'm not really a true believer in God. He says, if I am ugly over an event in my life that suggests return, then I'm not really a true believer in God. So what he's saying there is, if something occurs in our life and we're still not going towards the God, we're still not trying to submit to God to get the right answer that we need, and we're continuously bucking, but we're digging ourselves a deeper hole. How can we believe in the reality of God? That's a hell of a thing, man. That's always so beautiful being able to study and say, man, you know what? Look, your current condition, family, does not dictate who you are. That's the first thing I want us to understand. Whatever condition that we are in right now, that doesn't dictate who you are as a person. It doesn't dictate that. That just means that we got work to do. The work is there for us. It's right in front of us. But we have to get to a point where we can have the right attitude to push through the darkness. It's hard having a right attitude when you're in darkness. Because everything that you feel like that you're touching, it's not turning over. It's not manifesting as you would like it to be fit. If I go through that difficulty with an improper attitude, okay, this is not my words. These are the words of the master teacher. These are the words of the wise man. These are the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If I go through that difficulty with an improper attitude, then this makes me manifest a core of sickness in myself as an individual. Misery loves company. We just talked about misery. You ever been around someone? Or you ever been in a room when somebody come in that's always raining on everybody's parade? You ever came into a spot and you see somebody and the whole chemistry just switch and you just be like, oh man, I'm about to go. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow, man. This is my exit. You ever had people with that energy that bring that low vibrative energy. And when you see them, all they do is talk about people. All they do is got something negative to say. And you say to yourself, it's time for me to move around. Shit, I got to go. I ain't trying to be a part of this. I have enough that I'm dealing with. I have enough on my plate that I'm trying to figure out and bring resolutions to problems in my own life. Now, here you come with this negativity. I got to get up and go. The Quran says, when you come into company like that, remove yourself. Why? Because you're trying to protect your growth. You're trying to protect your developing in the right direction. Hell, you got enough you got enough that you battling with going to war with yourself. Now I'm gonna take on. Now I gotta go to war with you too. Oh no, I got enough that I'm going to war with in myself. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talks about an improper attitude. An improper attitude. Boy, that's detrimental. That's very, very important. Because like I said, when we are going through things, naturally it makes us upset. If I go through that difficulty with an improper attitude, then this makes manifest a core sickness in myself as an individual. Whatever your lot is in life, the attitude that you take toward the thing that God has permitted in our life, that you may have brought about, or that God brought about, or permitted to be brought about, however you look at it. The Holy Quran says, God good is from Allah. I want us to pay attention. I know there was a lot said, but I'm going to say that again so we can understand exactly what the minister's saying. So as he's speaking, we can see ourselves. This is what this is for. When I go live, this is what this is for. This is not to point and talk about nobody else. This is for us to be able to be students of a master, of a wise man. And we're able to abstract from the examples of his life and the wisdom and see ourselves. Whatever your lot is in life, what is for you, your lot, what God has for you, nobody can take it away. Whatever God has for you, no outside person can take it away. And then that be upon them, and that's they the one to blame for what God had given you, and you say, oh, they took it away. No, what God has given you, no one can take away. It's that you mistreat what we have been given, and we give it away. I hope I'm making sense, family. I hope I'm making sense. We give it away. I've had to look in the mirror and look at myself. That's the hardest thing to do. Is to be able to look in the mirror and look at what you're looking at and say, it was my fault. I'm the cause of this. That's a hell of a thing to do. That's a hell of a thing to do. But in doing it, it's good. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it stings. But as you continue on, that's what God is wanting us to do. That's when the help is coming. The help is that now we've humbled ourselves enough to receive the help that we need. Whatever your lot is in life, the attitude that you take toward the thing that God has permitted. See, when something goes wrong in our life, we have to start working on having a better attitude in whatever, even if it's a shortcoming, even if it's something that brings distraught, dissatisfaction. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you see something that disappoints you, we can't continue to look at it with hatred. We have to be able to look at it and receive it. And what's going to allow us to receive it in a better attitude? That means that, guess what? That means that we have to start reading scripture. We have to start getting back into things that will allow us to reflect on having a better attitude, applying more wisdom, spiritual sustenance that's going to allow us to have a better attitude. You're going to get help. You don't think that's not easy to do, but God is saying, look, I have a personal reserved place in you that's only for me. I'm going to bring some things down from my reserved place in you and assist you and help you. I got you. I'm going to back you. I'm your backer. I got you. Look at my man. Talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Look at him. I'm backing him. I have a reserved place in him that's only for me. Allah speaking, the Supreme. And when I will and choose, I let things down to him. To solve the problems. We have that same access, but that means that we got to pick it up. We have to pick it up. We have to pick it up. All praise is due to Allah. Even though sometimes we have a hand in producing our misfortune, this is what we need to listen to. Look at what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say. Even when we have a hand in producing our own misfortune. Now, and I know this is where everybody should be doing this. This is the part that I really need to hear. Because how many times have I been a part of my own misfortune? Hell, most of the times. I mean, come on, y'all. Let's keep it Messiah. Let's keep it Messiah. Most of the times when we have misfortune, where is most of the blame should lie? On ourselves, looking in the mirror. We know it. We know it. Even though sometimes we have a hand in producing our misfortune, yet it could not happen unless Allah permits it. So he takes full responsibility. So he takes full. Look. So he takes full responsibility. Look at that. Even when we have a misfortune, Allah steps in and say, hey, I'm going to take full responsibility for even though this, that, and that, because guess what? I'm going to, I permitted it. I let you fall down on your face. I could have held you up, but I let you fall down. But I didn't let you fall down because I'm trying to destroy you. No, God is not trying to destroy us. His mercy overrides his wrath. But he said, I have to teach you so you can humble yourself. That's heavy. That's heavy. So now, what is your attitude? How do you like that? Okay, I'm going to let your own foolishness bring something on you. How do you like that? How can you respond to the Supreme Being when that question is asked to you through your actions, through your own misfortune? How can you bounce back? What can we possibly say when the supreme being lets us know, I'm going to let your own foolishness bring something up on you, something that you got to go through, something that you got to struggle with, some pain that you're about to endure? How can we come back against God and say, well, we don't have nothing to say? We can't come back to the supreme intelligence that's ingrained inside. Or shall I say, we are wrapped around. There's nothing we can say about that. God, why me? Oh, we've all asked that question. God, why me? I always knew you didn't love me. I always knew you didn't care about me. I hate you, God. I love my daughter. I love my son. What did you take why did you take my son? Why did you take my daughter? Oh, my God, I served you well. I prayed. I did all of this. Now I find I got cancer. I got multiple sclerosis. I got this disease or that disease. Sound like Job, don't it? Sound like Job, don't it? Hush, hush. Yes, but the worst disease you could have is a disease of the heart. Oh, come on. Oh, the minister is supreme. He's a supreme master teacher. We could never thank Allah enough for appearing in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. We could never thank Allah enough for intervening in a well-made man. You can take it or you can let it alone, family. This is something. This is something. Walaikum salam to my sister, Shakiba Powell. Thank you for joining the live, sister. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hush, hush, hush. Yes, but the worst disease you could have is a disease of the heart, which is the manifestation of physical illness has brought about or made manifest in you. See, when we get sick, a lot of times we don't know why we got sick, man. But then you kind of think about, how have I been eating? Oh, man, I'm miserable. Oh, I'm depressed. I'm stressed out. That's how we got sick. Most of the times. So I thank Allah that when I was at the doorway of death, I never asked him to spare my life. Now, this is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking. Now, for those that do not know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was on his deathbed. A lot of people thought the minister was going to pass away. A lot of people thought the minister was about to depart, you know. They had already written in certain newspapers that the minister had already, you know, departed. Some people that was close to the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan even went to go see him, and what they seen, they cried. So being on your deathbed, can you imagine? I've never been on my deathbed, but maybe some of you have experienced being on your deathbed. I don't know, but Allah tries us in all kind of ways. So guess what? We have to become more God conscious, because we argue and we complain over small stuff. But here is a man literally on his deathbed. I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. But look at the things he say on the deathbed. I never asked him to spare my life. How many of us can do that? How many of us have enough faith that if we land on our deathbed and we say, Allah, allow your will to be done, most of us will be saying, oh God, don't let me go, please. I can't leave right now. Oh, I just can't leave. I got my children and my mama, and I just, please, I don't want to die. A man of strong, firm faith said, Allah, allow your will to be done. Ooh, when you can respond in that way, boy, that means that you got a strong relationship with the God. How many of us can respond like that? Lord, have mercy. All praise is due to Allah. So I thank Allah. Look, I never asked him to spare my life. I thanked him for my life. I thanked him for allowing me the privilege of living in the majesty of his universe and beholding his greatness. I thanked him for allowing me to serve, and I thanked him for the pain that I was suffering, and it was excruciating. It was my attitude that even further purified my heart for greater service for God. I'm going to end right here. It's a lot more, but we'll pick up on that some other time. I'm going to end right here. I'm going to end this live right here, family. Okay? I'm going to end this live right here. He said, it was my attitude that even further, he said, it was my attitude that even further purified my heart for greater service of God. Oh my goodness. I had to go live. I had to share that because that hit me. That means I got a lot of more work to do. I have to change my attitude, even when I'm in darkness. So it goes back to the title of the live. The wise man giving us wisdom on pushing through the darkness. So what do we learn? What do we learn on this live, this beautiful live? What do we learn on pushing through the darkness? We learned that we must have a better attitude to further purify our heart for greater service of God. That's what's going to allow us to push through the darkness. Even when you're doing something for someone and you don't get that in return, let me tell y'all something. Look how great God is. I gotta say this. I have to say this. We're human. When you do something for someone, you're putting out good intention. Some people say, oh, if you do something for somebody and then they don't return it, then you get mad, then you didn't have the right intention in the first place. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. People say, oh, if you do something for somebody out of the heart and you don't get it in return, you're not expecting to get it in return because you did it from your heart and it doesn't bother you. That's baloney. That's cap. That's cap. Naturally, when something is put out of good intention, naturally it connects with good intention. It connects in good. There's energy that's connecting the two to receive it properly, to respond. And just like saying, if we say Assalamu alaikum as Muslims, that is a greeting, but also it is a prayer. You're asking God to have peace upon this person. That is a prayer. So what does it say in our faith in being a Muslim? When we say assalamu alaikum, we're supposed to respond with something equivalent or something even greater. Wa alaikum salam. Rahman to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Wa alaikum salam. Peace be unto you. And may Allah God have mercy upon you. So that's like saying if you're doing good deeds for people, or you're putting your energy out to this person and you don't receive it. It's just like you saying assalamu alaikum and this person just going by their business. You're going to feel some type of way. So even in that, we can't waste too much time. So that means that when we don't receive it back, what kind of attitude will we have? When we put in work on showing a person our loyalty and our respect and they don't return it, what kind of attitude will we have when we don't receive it? That's what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is talking about. It was my attitude that even further purified my heart for greater service of God. So that means, family, that as we continue to push through the darkness as I close, let's strive to work on our attitude. And how do we work on our attitude? By looking at the things in our own life and accepting them for what they are and striving to correct them, striving to purify the shortcomings in our own life. That's how we get a better attitude. Because when you put out a better attitude, you know that it's coming back to you in return, as the Quran says, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, eventually the return is to Allah. So when you put out good attitude, the eventual return is the reward from God. All praise is due to Allah. So brothers and sisters, if there is anything that I've said that has rubbed anybody the wrong way, that is not my true intention. But if there is something that I've said of benefit, understand that it comes directly from Allah through me. I am a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan by the way of the eternal leader, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And like I said, we could never thank Allah enough for appearing in the person of Master Father Muhammad. All right. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to close now. I hope that there was something that I was able to say, man, that sparked you, that will continue to allow you to turn back towards the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you've never reached off into these teachings, if you are interested in seeking more of what the supreme wisdom of what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is offering, being a vessel coming directly from the wisdom of God, then just DM me. Just DM me and say, hey, I want to learn more about the Nation of Islam. No matter if you are a man or a woman, DM me and let me know I'm interested in furthering my understanding from the supreme wisdom coming from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I would do my best to put you up in position to be able to do that, and we can all do it together. So, you know, just be patient, family. Just be patient. I don't want to speak too early, but just be patient, and let's continue to grow with one another. Let's continue to be respectful to one another on the lives, and let's listen. Let's listen. You know, I'm just a vessel, man. I'm just, you know, so much that I want to do in my own life and please God. So I'm knowing that I got to put the work in other different ways that I'm undeveloped in, that I said, you know what, enough is enough, man. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. So family, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, it is Winford X. Okay, you can go to my Instagram, right? Go to my my portfolio, and then you can just go to you can look at my link tree. Go to my link tree. It's going to take you to my Facebook. It's going to take you to my Instagram. It's going to take you to my YouTube. It's going to take you to all of that. My Determined to Change. If you want to purchase a book, Determined to Change, also Saturday, if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I will be having a book signing Saturday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Central Time. I will be at the Pan African. I'm going to put it in my story again today. As soon as I get off the live, actually, I got to send everybody their final calls as well. I forgot to do it yesterday. My apologies, brothers and sisters, but I'm about to get ready and do it now. So I'm just telling you, Saturday is going to be from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. I will be having a book signing. I just want to, the people to come out, and I just want to give a little synopsis of my book, Determined to Change. Even though it's been out 2 years, I want people to understand the importance of being shaped in iniquity, being able to understand that this is not the reality of what we should be going through, and how I was determined in my situation, how I was able to become an author through my adversity, through my pain, through being incarcerated, through being able to receive a light in the darkness, which was the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, guided and taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So with that being said, family, may Allah continue to bless you and your families. I hope you have a blessed and productive day. I greet you in the greeting words of peace, which we say in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum.